Hello and welcome to American Muscle Series, race number 10 of Season 2, brought to you by Slow Motion Broadcasting. My name is Adam Thompson, and I am joined by a newbie tonight by the name of Brennan Horan, coming to help us out tonight. So, Brennan, welcome in, and hey, man, what do you think of the track?
Yeah, good evening, Adam. Good evening, everybody. Well, this is one of my favorite tracks, most favorite tracks on not only the iRacing service, but in the world. Of course, it's also one of the most challenging, so maybe that's why I have so much fun there. But no, I'm just happy to be here. I've been watching the American Muscle Series on Slow Motion for ever since you guys started broadcasting it, and just happy to be a part of it this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm happy to go ahead and broadcast this one as well, guys. I'm gonna give you an absolute. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea about this track at all. That's why I'm very glad we have Brennan with us tonight, because he, as he said, he loves this track. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a track map real quick, and I'm gonna explain to you why I have absolutely no idea what's going on this track. I can't pronounce at least 3/4 of the corner names. Look at all the corners on the track that they're running. They are running the Nordschleife tonight. I'm going to get this one wrong, I promise, but I'm going to call it the industry farting. So, yeah, as we can see right now, we've got Zoran Radosavich ahead. We are already into qualifying, guys. So this is not going to be like the normal series that you guys see when it comes to this series, American Muscle Series. They went straight into open qualifying about 30 minutes ago. So on the left of your screen are the times you guys are seeing from what these guys have already set in qualifying over the last hour. They do have about 10 minutes of a driver's brief, and then they're going to get into the race. It's going to be an hour-long race. So, yeah, Brennan, tell me what your thoughts are once they get into the race here. How they're... it's an hour, but the hour's going to go by pretty quick, considering that every lap is about 7 minutes and 35 seconds if you're the fastest guy in the field right now.
Yeah, of course, in most races, you want to be really careful on the first couple of laps, but this race is only going to be about 10 laps or so because of how long the track is. One of the trouble areas in all the races here is Hotzenbach, which is the first corner, and first couple of corners, they're always really tight. A lot of them are off camber, and then all of a sudden some are on camber, so a lot of traction changes and stuff like that. So if you're side by side, it's going to be a little bit tough. I expect to see some door banging, if not a couple of spins. Just because of how tricky it is. A lot of the curbs in that section is high as well, so might curb some wheels tonight. And then of course up through Flugsplatz, very high speed corner. I wonder how these cars are going to do, because of course these are a bit heavier than some other sports cars that you might see racing at this track, and yeah, so those are the trouble spots that I'll be looking for. But hopefully people keep it not clean, because I know they're going to be driving clean, but this track is just so tough that I hope they can keep it on the track, because I certainly cannot a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
that'll be fun to see.
Yeah. So what I kind of realized, I have driven this track, guys. I promise. Bobby Ross just says, I still get flashbacks from trying to race this track on Gran Turismo 4 back in the day. I was about to say, Bobby, I get flashbacks of trying to race this track in Miatas when we were running it a few weeks ago. And the track is just so long. It's just so tough to really kind of know where you're at on the track at all times. You can just lose focus so quickly. And you did mention how heavy these cars are. And they are a lot heavier than what you're used to there, Brennan, known as the Miata. So it's probably going to be a little different, but I believe we're in for a good one. I really do. I mean, the racing's been great so far that we've covered for American Muscle Series here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and I don't see it getting any worse just because we're on probably, I would call it, the toughest track in iRacing.
Yeah, you talk about how long the track is. It really is hard to learn, and I think that if anyone hasn't practiced for this race, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, because you really have to practice this track. I think the best way to learn this track is to look at it in different, maybe thirds, right? Because this track is so big, you go through a lot of different scenery, a lot of different forestry. So, oh, I can see the sky at this corner. I know that the next few corners are going to be like this, and that's how I did it. Because you have some really twisty bits, and then you have some bits that are all kind of right angle corners. So it's put together pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely it is. We are going to have a pre-race interview here with Clint Fletcher. We were just watching him out on track, but he looks like he's escaped, and he's probably going to be getting in here pretty quick. But right now, we're watching first place in the AM class. Edgar Sancinelli up here, way up here actually, got quite a bit of time between him and his closest open class rival, Desmond Floyd, back there, second in class, 13th overall.
Yeah, I think Edgar's a great driver. I have some bias towards him. I raced with him in some of the Miata series that I raced with, and I raced with him in a couple other races that he hosts. And no, he's just a great guy, and I like seeing him out here. Obviously, he's now 3 spots ahead of the other open class drivers with some pro people in between him and P2. So that's good to see. Yeah, but overall, it's a very, very close field, just between Clymer and Sancinelli. It's only 78 thousandths of a second. So, which is actually very close when you think about how long the lap time is, to be separated by that little of amount. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, that is extremely impressive. And we do have Bobby Ross asking here what the difference is between the pro and the M class, Bobby. I'm going to tell you absolutely nothing. And I know Vinny will tell you that it's driver skill. But from what we've seen these past couple races, I really don't see much driver skill, and I know that the payouts are a little different for the pros compared to the AMs. I think they're a little bigger for the pros. But if you're looking at driver skill when it comes to this pro and AM, absolutely, there may be a small difference, but not something that I can catch on stream. All of these guys are just so quick and so clean from what we've seen so far. But I'm sorry, Brendan. I hate to cut you off there, but we have Clint Fletcher in the interview waiting room. So we're going to go ahead and pull him in here and have a little bit of a chat with him. They're at about 36-minute mark of qualifying. Clint, welcome in. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. So explain to me, if I had never driven this track before for the viewers, how much different this is from every other track you guys are running or have run this season.
It's actually one of the longest tracks, so you could do really well in the first couple sectors, and you can totally blow it in the others, and you'll probably drop a couple places, if not wreck the entire field, because this track is super narrow. If you go off, there's not a lot of room to run off, and there's steel walls on either side, so if you hit that, you're usually going to bounce back. So holding the brakes is very key here.
Yeah,
if you go off.
That's what I've kind of noticed when I've driven this track as well. The the walls, as big as when everyone says, yeah, this track is huge, it's really not that big side to side. I mean, the walls, there are really no places where you can make mistakes and get away with them. And the curbs I've noticed as well, you can get high centered on those pretty easy. I don't know about in the Mustang you're driving, but I know for for some other cars that can run around here, you can.
No, some Mustangs will definitely, or some of the curbs will definitely shoot your Mustang in directions you don't want to go. That's actually what happened. I was up about like 2.4 seconds, and I hit a curb, and it just shot me up and over. So
yeah, I was about to ask you. I see you. That was going to be my next question, so thanks for bringing me into that. What's the, I thought there was a bit of strategy going on there, maybe starting a little further back. You are in the pro class. Right now you're, what's that, 11th in class? But
yeah, right in the middle of all the wreckage.
I was gonna say I didn't know how that was going to affect your thought process. What is your thought process now, being almost smack dab in the middle of everybody?
So definitely, I think it's just consistency. I know I'm not going to be placing any fast times now, so avoiding wrecks, making passes at the right time, trying to capitalize on other people's mistakes is going to be huge. It's just playing the long game. Especially if some people decide they don't want to swap tires out during the pit stop, I think I'm going with the swap tire route. See at the very end if I'm able just to pass some people up.
Man, you gotta quit. You gotta quit answering my questions before I ask them, because that was going to be my next question. Actually, I know you guys do have an option to replace tires. From what Finney was saying a little earlier, some drivers may opt for tires, but that's because the car can refuel at the same time. How much time do you lose still if you're trying to take tires while you're trying to refuel the car?
Oh, I would say maybe 20 seconds. This pit entry and exit's really short, so I think this is one of the better tracks to do a tire swap, especially since of how many corners there are. In this track, you're pushing 100% the entire time. There's no real way to save tires, so
yeah,
those that don't take tires, I think, are going to suffer towards the end for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally get that. Brendan, you got anything for him?
Yeah, Clint. Hey, Brendan here. What do you think is going to happen in the first sector of the course? I was talking earlier in the broadcast about how tricky the first 5 or 6 corners are. What's your plan? Are you going to try to go single file, or are you going to try to make a couple moves right off the bat?
It's tough. I mean, when you say now like you're going to take it easy, but then you get that race mentality when it goes green. How well of a jump I get, you're not going to take too big a risk if the door is wide open. And I think right now David and Mike are ahead of me. If they make a mistake, I can easily go past, I'll go for it. But if the door's not open and the pass isn't there,
yeah, we're actually watching. We're on board here right now with Mike, who is ahead of David. But you guys were still, even with your mistake you had, Clint, you were still pretty close to those two. So you kind of cut out there at the end. But what was your what'd you say about David and Mike? Is those guys you pretty used to racing around?
I personally know Mike. We run, we'll run 2x2 side by side, comfortably, but I'm not going to take any risks, especially here at the Nürburgring with the accidentally touch one or he does. Who knows what can happen? So I'm just going to play 100% safe. The very beginning, like the first lap, I think, and then we'll really kick it into high gear.
Sure. All right. Sorry, Brendan. You're up again.
Well, how much is the draft going to play into this? That's all I can come up with. The Miatas that I drive usually, it plays a huge role. I'm not quite certain how it's going to play, especially in Dottinger at the end of the lap, that long straight. We haven't seen these cars that are straight that long. Can these things bump draft? Can these, will the draft play a huge role? And how well are they going to stop into the hard braking zone?
Bump draft definitely be a big part, I think, at least on the back straight. I don't remember the real names, but like the long straight with a bunch of curves, you bump draft someone there, you're more than likely going to spin. But I think draft is really going to help you, especially on the back straight.
Well, awesome, Clint. I think we are good over here on this front. Thanks for some of the insight, man. You've got a long race ahead of you. Good luck out there. Hopefully everything that you've told us comes to fruition, and you can just take your time and start picking your way through the field. It sounds like you have the pace.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Clint. Have a good race, man.
Thanks.
That was Clint Fletcher right now in 12th place where he qualified. Said he made a bit of a mistake there, Brendan, which is extremely easy to do around here.
Probably one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, especially in qualifying. If you go off, let's say worst case scenario, you get a 1X at the exit of turn 1. You can't just, reset or put it in reverse, go back behind the line and start another lap. You have to do a whole nother out lap, and that out lap can be anywhere from, 8 minutes to 10 minutes, depending on how conservative you're taking your out laps. So, yeah, you will be in trouble big time if you get a 1X at this track in qualifying. And, it's just that much harder to put a good lap together just because of the whole out lap factor. It's going to take a very long time out of qualifying.
Yes, it is. And right now we're watching Roy Baker, who has yet to complete a lap. Go ahead and go on board with him so you guys can kind of see what these guys are dealing with here. He's about halfway through the lap right now, it's looking like, but still going to be able to get a little bit of a sense. And Brendan, I'll let you walk him through it.
Yeah, well, here's the second carousel. Of course, you have the infamous carousel, but this is the second carousel coming up to what everyone knows as the long straight, the very long straight at the end of the lap. And this was one that I was talking about with drafting and bump drafting. I don't know what the top speed of these cars are, but I'm sure they'll be getting very close to it, and they might even be hitting the limiter if they get a double or triple draft. You can barely see the end of the straight, and you can see how it goes uphill, and it gets to a bridge at the end of the straight. And right at that bridge, it crests right over a little hill, and it's downhill from there into the hardest braking zone of the track, which is pretty much the final couple of corners. And it's not only is it just a braking zone, but it's also a braking zone while turning. So these cars are going to get really loose, really, really slippery, not only because they're in the draft and they're going so fast, but also because they're braking and turning at the same time. And, you know, if they're close together on the final lap, I'm sure we'll see something happen here.
Yeah,
and,
so
hopefully it won't be race ending.
Yeah, you can see right here, you're just hauling for it what seems like minutes. And all of a sudden, you've got to get super hard on the brakes. I can see, well, if drivers can stay close enough, I can see a definite coming together. But again, this is speaking from my experience and how I know how to race, which I'm going to be honest with you, as it looks like he was able to get a lap in at least, which is a good thing. He's on the board. It's like Blair just set a bit of a quicker time, Dave Blair right there. So, excuse me. Anyways, yeah. So, again, that's why I'm up here and not down there, Brendan. Have you run these Mustangs often, if at all?
Nope, not at all. I ran a few laps at Mosport. I spectated one of these sessions. I think it was last week or the week before. And boy, these things are a handful. And the Miata is a handful at this track. And I can only imagine, you know, what another 1,000 pounds does to the car. Probably not. Well, for me, it would be terrifying. But I'm sure these guys who are used to it are having a bit of fun here. But yeah, I've raced against these in the Mustangs, or I've raced against these, me driving the Miata with Mustangs flying by me, and that got really hairy. But that's my only experience with these cars, and other than that, I would probably just be terrifying if I was in. It would be terrifying if I was in it right now.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. I've run these a few times. As you can see, we are on board with Scott Banks, and he just gets a little bit loose right now. But that's what these guys have to deal with around this track, is he's climbing that curb, which is also scary. He is using all track limits right now. We're not going to see him pop up on the bottom of the screen yet because he hasn't gotten close enough to finishing his lap. But you will see his sector times eventually start to show up. You can see him on your bottom right of the screen. You're going to see his telemetry or his dashboard. So if you want to see kind of the speed that they're running through all these corners, as man, that's a slow one. I could take that one in my truck at 38 miles an hour. But yeah, this is when it starts, this technical section back here, which I got on a little bit later on in the lap. But right now, I think, Brennan, for me, these are one of the tougher sections of the course.
Yeah, we're going to be coming into Calenard really soon. This next right-hander here, and that's a tight one. A really tight one. The track narrows a little bit, and the walls get a lot closer than you would like them to be. And then you get into a fast left-hander, and then a really slow right-hander, and then a super slow left-hander. You'll see him coming up into here now. And there's concrete walls at the end of it. This is one of the parts in the track that you can see got really loose there. What he's coming up into right now, in real life, they have a speed limit at this part of the track because of how sketchy it is. You know, you think you go to the Nordschleife, it's a public racetrack. You know, you can go as fast as you want, but even here, they have a speed limit in this area just because of how many wrecks people can get into here and how dangerous it can be.
Yeah, so, Brendan, I was wondering, I had a question for you, actually. I don't know if this is, I've heard this through kind of the grapevine, I guess. All of those, you can see all the chalk lines and stuff on the ground as we're still on board with Scott. That's, from what I've heard, that shows kind of some of the drivers that have passed away here through some of these corners.
There's a lot of memorials written throughout the track. And yeah, I mean, people can go out. Well, I mean, people can't go onto the track while it's active, but it is listed as a toll road. It's just like a toll road that, you know, me and you drive on the highway. You pay a toll. Here you pay a toll and drive up and drive on it. So I'm sure many people have written memorials and you know, in memory of various racing drivers who have died here. And that, yeah, again, that just shows how dangerous this track is. And Yeah, it's the green hell. It's like you said earlier, it's the green hell.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So I believe that these guys are probably getting pretty close to getting to their driver's brief here. So let me give you a little bit of information on the Nürburgring real quick, and you guys, again, are going to have to excuse my American. Some of these names are pretty tough to pronounce, but it's a 150,000 person capacity motorsports complex located in the town of Nürburgring, Rhineland. Not even going to try. Germany. It features a Grand Prix racetrack built in 1984 and the much longer Nordschleife, which is what we're on today, that was built in the 1920s around the village and medieval castle of Nürburgring in the Eifel Mountains. The North Loop is 13 miles long and has more than 300 meters of elevation change, also 1,000 feet for me, 1,000 feet of elevation change from its lowest to highest points. And we did see Finney in the YouTube chat a little earlier reference this. Jackie Stewart nicknamed the old track the Green Hell. And we've only seen a few laps around here, and you can definitely understand why it is called that. But while we do have a chance, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the points. And Brendan, I'll let you take us through the pro class.
Technical difficult. Okay, here we are. Yeah, so of course, who else but Aeronam in P1 right now with 417 points from Bushfink Racing. Scott Banks in P2, a bit behind in second place, but still with 267 points. Gets a little bit closer here now with Matt Malone in P3 with 249 points. Right behind him with 246 points, you have Eric Ronenberg. So that should be a good battle to keep an eye on throughout the Luis Henriquez in P4. Sorry, Adam. In P4 with 246 points. So that would be a good battle to look at during the race and see who will come out on top tonight. Eric Ronenberg in P5 with 224 points. In Radisavage with 206 points. Ian Lane with 195 points. Derek Friedman with 169 points. David Kleinreimer with 161. Jason Dada with 159. Joe Edward 124. Evan Hukchik with 119, Riley Downey with 97. In 14th, you have Mike Nickham with 75 points. Daniel Munez in 15th with 71 points. Clint Fletcher, who we talked to earlier tonight, in 16th place with 70 points.
Good luck. Good luck on this one. Wojek.
Thanks.
I apologize. I don't believe you're racing with us tonight, man, but that's a name that is extremely tough for anybody to pronounce. And sorry I cut you off there, Brendan, but I didn't want you to take the heat for that one because I don't know how to do it either. Rodney Parison there in 18th with 55 points. Moving on to the final few, we've got Roger Clark, Brian Howard, Jose Barrios, Dexter Castro, Eugene Weber, Lyndall McMurphy, and, well, all these guys down here, Castro, Weber, McMurphy, and McGrew, you can see they have 0 points. Randall McGrew is the league owner, the league admin, and he's also race controlling tonight. I'll get to you guys a little bit later, or I'll explain to you guys a little bit later how they're going to do that tonight. But in the AM class, we have, I don't know why it's doing that. Anyways, imagine that these guys are in first place. That's why it's doing that. Matthew Guzenda, 161 points. You can see how much closer this is. Roy Baker, 159. Jesse Hodgson, 146. Michael Puchik, 128. Alex Theologis with 119. Edgar Sanchinelli with 116. Dave Blair, 113. Matt Thompson with 96. Stephen Price with 92. Brandon Carl, 85. Scott Brooks, 81. Daniel Jamrozic, 80. Keep an eye on those two tonight. There's some points to gain or lose there. Jay Little with 77. Desmond Floyd with 64. We saw Desmond last week have a great outing. Hopefully he can do a little bit more of that tonight. Kenneth Estep with 53. Mark Abercrombie, 52. Chris Schultheis, I apologize, with 39. Devin Doss with 37. Tom Wendt with 33, Kent Burrows 32, Michael Key 30, John Hill 23, David Clark, 21. Peter Stewart, 15. Phil Scrutton, 14. Cody Brent, 11. Greg Obrigavich, 11. And David Payne, 9. Looking through the field here, trying to see if Greg and Cody are racing tonight. Don't believe I see them. So that's going to be where that stands. So all these guys have a pretty good chance still of making or losing some points here. This is still a big field. It's looking like we've got about 29 drivers tonight. So this is going to be interesting around here, to say the least. But I did mention the race control and how they're going to do it tonight. All penalties will be post-race time penalties. The pit drive-through is so short that a stop and hold for 5 seconds would be needed. There are not that many pit stalls, and the pit entry lane is very treacherous. So to avoid those issues and the possibility of fuel requirements causing extra penalties, all penalties will be applied post-race. The drivers also have one fast repair available. You can understand why it's a big track. And some drivers may opt for tires, like we were talking a little earlier. Some drivers may opt for tires during their stops, as this car can refuel and change tires at the same time. But from what I was hearing a little earlier, it sounds like it's still about a 20-second difference to take some tires. What would you do, Brendan?
Take tires just for the precaution. This is very abrasive track surface. I've driven on a lot of tracks in my racing, and I feel like this is one of the ones that, really eats up your tires quickly. And this is a hard track to get right, and if you don't get it right, you're going to be sliding a little bit, which is just only going to hurt your tires even more and more and more. So I'd say, why not? Just take some tires. You take the time penalty, but there's a good chance that someone's going to screw up in front of you, or and hopefully it'll be them who didn't take tires and you who took tires, who gets out alive, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. We do still have about 3 minutes left here before the race, before we actually go green. Just want to give a couple shout outs to the sponsors that make this happen for AMS. You can see up there on the top right of the screen, Bruno Carneiro Driver Coaching. That is one of the sponsors that are here for AMS, and thank you. I do want to give a big shout out to you guys, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do what I've got to do up here and be able to make this happen for all the guys down there in AMS and all of the people watching from the comfort of their couch. I don't think these guys are going to be very comfortable today, but also the Simpit, the other sponsor here for AMS. So big shout out to those two to make this happen and allow me to do what I want to do up here. But I mean, right now you guys can see there on the top left of your screen where all of the drivers are lined up for the race tonight. We will bring up the grid after qualifying is over. That's about 3 minutes away, but I don't believe anybody's going to be able to get a lap in 3 minutes. We do have Joe Edward out on track at least, so we can follow along with him as he's driving around. You can see also that these paint jobs also done by Randall, and they're all the same but different. You can distinguish them by the green or the red end plates, as well as they've got driver plaques on the side of their car. You can see where it says Pro right there as Edward goes flashing by. Also up on the hood, it says that as well. But you can tell who it is by the name on the right rear or left rear corner panel of the car. But also on the top of the screen here, I'm going to keep this up for everyone so you can see who is in the Pro and who is in the AM class. The Pros are distinguished by the green, and the AMs are distinguished by the red. And speaking of AMs, there is a man named Edgar Sancinelli sitting up there in first place in class and 9th overall, kind of sandwiched behind all these pros, or in between all these pros, Brendan. That's probably not a very comfortable place to be.
No, well, luckily I know Edgar's a good driver. He does a lot of fun runs on iRacing and hosts a lot of races, and I know he's done a lot of stuff here at the Nordschleife. So happy to see him up with the pros. I'd say maybe next season that's where he belongs, is with the pros. because he's outperforming all the Opel class drivers right now. Clearly, he's a little bit down in the overall points, but I'd like to see him move up into the professional category.
Well, absolutely. I think Edgar definitely has the abilities to do so. I apologize on the flash on the overlay. Had to get a quick screen refresh in there. But, yeah, so I believe Edgar does. We've been watching him for the past couple races, and I think he's got a bit of a fangirl in the name of, let's say Brennan Horn. You tend to shout him out quite a bit when he's out there running around, but... yeah, going to be interested to see what he can do tonight. Chris S., thanks for shouting out, talking to us on the stream here. Thanks for the broadcast. You are welcome, my man, and we wish you could have been home for this one as well. The more drivers, the better, especially when it comes to this league. We haven't talked about, and I'm going to have to talk about him. You guys see Matt Malone down there in 5th place. He was pretty quick. I thought he had a chance at the win there, but him and Nam started fighting there towards the end, and Radisavage just ran away with it, Brendan.
Yeah, and you look right now, Radisavage just blew Aero Nam out of the water right now. He's almost 2 seconds faster than him on his pole position lap, and I love Aero Nam, but I'd like to see Radisavage give him a run for his money because of how far ahead Aero is in the points. I just think this track will be the great equalizer though between all the drivers. Just because anybody can make a mistake anywhere here, so that'll be exciting to see.
Yeah. So coming in to this race or to last week's race, Aero Nam had won every single race that AMS had put on. So I'll let you do the math here, and that would be 8 races. If you want to tell, because we're on race 10. So he had won 8 races, obviously lost race 9 there at Phillip Island, but got a chance to get it back. It says 1 second. That's a pretty big gap, but when you come to a place like Nürburgring, when they're running 7-minute times, Brennan, that gap is not very big.
Yeah, and like I said, just great equalizer. It's going to be hard to run away here. But it's also many technical sections where if you are side by side for a long time, it will be easy to pull away. So it'll just be an exciting race, a close race, and it should be a very good race.
Yeah, so here we go. I'll bring up the grid for you guys. We do have Zoran Radisavage there in 1st place with Aero Nam in 2nd, Joe Edward 3rd, Luis Enriquez 4th, Matt Malone 5th, Evan Hubchak 6th, Roger Clark 7th, Riley Downey 8th, Edgar Sanchinelli in 9th, Scott Banks 10th, Mike Nickum 11th, David Clymer is in 12th, Clint Fletcher in 13th, Michael Puchik 14th, Desmond Floyd 15th, Matthew Guzenda 16th, Dave Blair, Stephen Price round out 17th and 18th, Matt Thompson and Jay Little in 19th and 20th, Jesse Hodgson in 21st, Roy Baker 22nd, Mike E in 23rd, and then you see those 3 at the bottom of the screen are not racing this evening. So we do have about 23 drivers taking the grid tonight. So here we go. Got waiting on everybody to ready up here. Thank goodness they had a bit of a shortened pace lap here, because I can only imagine how long that would have taken. But with that being said, we are getting into it here, waiting on everybody to ready up. Brennan, you ready for this?
I hope I am, because of course I'm commentating, and this is just an easy track to get excited at, and I'm gonna try to keep my energy level a little bit down, but yeah, I'm super excited to see how this race goes.
Well, I promise you, we all want your energy level up. So go ahead and get it as loud as you want to. And the lights are on the top of the screen there. You'll see those go green, but they do go on leader. So Radisavage is going to lead them away from the line whenever the pace car goes in. And I would assume there's probably a bit of a there's probably a rule when they can actually go. They probably just can't punch it right now and pass the pace car. So obviously you can't do that anyways because you get a penalty. But Man, there are quite a few drivers here tonight. Look at them all going down the grid here. See if I can try to pull up. Yeah, they can't. I can't even get them all to fit in frame. So this is going to be a good one for sure. I will try to get to all of the incidents as quick as possible, but the racing is going to be as you would expect with a series like this. If you haven't watched it before, it's going to be good. So everyone buckle in. We have got an hour's worth of racing here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. They're going to come through these last final bit of corners that I do not know the names for, but Brennan does. But I'm going to try to struggle through this anyways. Pace car should be coming into the pits right now, and here they go. Radisavage is going to lead him away whenever he decides to do so, which looks like he's going to do it now, maybe. Yes, he is. He is. We are green and away.
And you could see already cars in the back starting to fan out, but Radisavage and Nam got away pretty clean, pretty straight, neat and tidy, and here you can see it's already, big curb. Like I said earlier, 2 people into the big curb and sends them wide into the wall. And yeah, it's what I was saying earlier.
That looks like Luis Henriquez that got, oh man, and he has got to wait now. As the pre-race interview noted, once you're in there, you can't really get out. You're going to have to wait for a space, and he has filtered all the way to the back of the track. See if we can try to see what happened there to them. Number 55 and number 83 are under investigation. So we will see exactly what happened to make that go down, if I can find it. We've got Luis Henriquez here, and that's Matt Malone. Man, looks like Matt, I don't even know what you're supposed to do there, Brendan.
Don't hit the curb. I said that at the beginning. Obviously, he wasn't listening to me. You can't hit those curbs there, especially at the tight section of the track, just like that one. It's only going to cause trouble. Usually, it's for you, but obviously, in this case, it was for the other driver. But no, they made those curbs so big there, and just one little touch of it will send the car flying in either into the wall or into the person next to you.
And it looks like the investigation has already been cleared for Malone and Henriquez. Henriquez definitely came out way worse in that racing incident. No further action. That's tough to call on the first lap, and I do not envy those stewards' jobs tonight. But with that being said, you guys can see the battle up here at the front. It's going to start off where it ended last week. We've got Radisavage and Nam up here. Already pulling away quite a bit. Got about a 3-second gap on Matt Malone back there in third.
Yeah, you're just talking about that incident. Yeah, that's a fair call. It's a very fair call. Obviously, it's hard to control your car when you're in the air, and yeah. So I would say no blame on that driver. It's like I said, it's just a very, very tough part of the track. And yeah, what you were saying about the stewards, it's very tough here, especially with 13 miles of track to cover. So good luck to them, and we appreciate them, but I don't want your job.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, apologies, Brennan, but it looks like your man may have had a bit of an off here. Going to ride here with Edgar Sancinelli. Try to see what happened to him, if at all possible. Just gets loose.
Oh, yep. There's no. This track holds back nothing from you, and one little slip up there looks like will cost him quite a bit of time. And luckily they have one fast repair, but again, that's going to take a while to get around to the track, back to the pits. Yeah,
that's an unfortunate thing with this track. As I mentioned, it's about 13 miles long, but you have to tow back if you try to escape to the pits, and you're going to see Edgar Sancinelli's time down there on the bottom of your screen just keep going up and up and up and up, because it's accounting for his tow time as well. So we'll see about how long it takes to tow. Get the track map pulled up for you here so we can show you where everybody is on track. Everyone's still pretty close together. You can see most of the pros up there in the front. Well, all the way to top 10, and then you've got the AM. We got Puchik back here in 11th leading the AMs, and, well, I mean, they're all extremely tight still.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's gonna be a tight one. If you can hold your own, it's just gonna be a close one throughout the whole race. Obviously, you have some packs starting to form as you see one car get
Oh my goodness!
into the other.
That was oh my goodness! They're still crashing over here right now. Oh my. Well.
A lot of wrecked American cars on a German road.
That is
that's all I can think of right now.
extremely unfortunate. My iRacing and everything is going crazy. Let's get you back to the action here. Like Mike Key was able to get through all of that somehow, and we'll see exactly what happened in the back here. Is this where this all started, or was this another incident? This was Stefan Price. I believe this was before. Stefan catches, caught that. That's what happened to Stefan Price. See exactly who caused this. I did see something flash up on the screen, but it went away. Looks like maybe Mike Key could have. That's not it either. Mike Key just crashes on his own accord there. Everything's all good there. Let's see. Desmond Floyd up here. Oh, my goodness. Well, I think that's enough of that. You can see what happened there. We don't have to keep going back and watching that one. That is unfortunate for all the drivers involved. But we're going to go back live here to what looks like Mike Key. Got a little bit loose, but able to get back on the track. But we've got a battle up here still forming with Zoran Radosavich and Aero Nam. Aero is not letting him go anywhere. We do have Downey and Banks back here in 6th and 7th as well. Got a pretty good battle going on. So there are still some battles, but look at all those cars in pit lane, Brennan.
Yeah, there's a lot of bent sheet metal in pit lane. It's of course, this is a very short pit lane too, so there's a lot of shared stalls. But I think there's not enough space in the paddock for all the broken bits and pieces of the Mustangs right now.
No, there's absolutely not. I mean, like it was mentioned, the pit lane's pretty short. Anyways, number 57, investigation and decision post-race. That is a bit unfortunate for the number 57 of Mike Nickum. But normally if it's a decision post-race, as I mentioned, everything will be post-race decisions anyways. So not looking as good as no further action that we saw earlier.
Yeah, and that just, you have all these new tracks with, FIA gradings and stuff like this. But this track just was built before that time. This is literally just a road in the mountains turned into a racetrack. And it shows right there they had to put the wall so close to the track that there's really nowhere you can go after you crash.
Yeah, no, that is extremely unfortunate. But this battle between Downey and Banks is still on, and Clark up there in front of Downey's. They're actually tracking him down. We do have still a battle up here for first and second between Zoran Radosavich and Aero Nam. Guys are still extremely close to each other. This is impressive. Around a 13-mile track, they are still 0.6 of a second away from each other.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and that just shows the skill that they have. Very, very high skill set in this whole league, together, especially in the front pack. It's just, especially those two. It's just, frankly, it's just amazing. It's just so difficult to do that, and if you've driven this track, and if you've driven on iRacing at all, you'd know that, and I'd love to see some people mention that in the comments maybe. It's just it's very hard, very difficult.
Yeah, so right now on the comments there is a whole bunch of got a lot of people talking here about the wreck that we just witnessed. Got Tyler Coates. Hey Tyler, welcome in. Thanks for joining tonight. Says typical Mustang, and Jason Gata says saw a crowd. So throwing a little bit of shade at what went down on track there. That's again unfortunate for for those guys, but the viewers are having a good time with it. But nonetheless, going to go back here. Looks like Downey and Banks about 0.4 of a second apart. See if we can get onto this battle real quick. And there you are right now. Got Downey just trying to stay ahead of Banks. And, man, this track is just, it's one of those tracks that there are so many corners. You think, it would be easy to pass, but I think that's the problem. There are so many corners, and you can see,
Going slowly.
Is that Matt Malone going slow right there? It is. Did Matt have an off somewhere?
Could have been an off. It looks like, yeah, he may have just been serving a slowdown. That was going into the very, very tough Adenauer-Faust uphill corner, blind corner, off camber corner, very hard braking zone corner. It's just another one of those nightmare corners here that, if you screw up just a little bit, it's going to have major consequences. And as you can see right there, he lost many spots just in that one corner.
Guys, I apologize for the dog in the background. I know you guys are going to be able to hear him. Brandon calls him the slow motion broadcasting mascot. Mom should be getting home here soon, so he's probably pretty excited. So I'm going to try to mute my mic whenever that happens, but we're going to get back up here to the action. Banks and Downey, now all of a sudden are close. These gaps are kind of ebbing and flowing just a little bit, and while I've got the chance, I do believe I have found the off track from Matt Malone. See exactly what happened to him here. Kind of in no man's land. What the heck happened there? Looks like he may have just got on the brakes a little too late.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one. That's and up onto the curb again, the gigantic curbs. Yeah, that's too bad to happen there. It's a very costly spot.
Yeah, that is a bit unfortunate. But anyways, back to the live action here. Looking like Radisavage and Nam are starting to gap each other just a little bit, but that gigantic wreck there at the beginning of the race has caused a lot of these guys in the back, if they were able to get through it, which it turned into a parking lot, so it wasn't as easy for those guys to get through as it would be in other places, but allowed some of these guys back there where they started to gain some positions, and right now it's showing with Banks and Downey here. It looks like Banks might actually be trying to go for a move, and this is where you can make it happen.
Yep, definitely, and yeah, I'd like to see that happen. I've been through this section many times before, and it's just so tough to get right, even if you're behind somebody in their draft, and you're on the ragged edge the whole time. So
I actually watched a bit of not a documentary, but I watched a Porsche 919, I believe that's what it was, go around here a little earlier today. And I watched him go through the carousel. Did I get that right? The carousel chicane?
The carousel.
The carousel. Haha, it's with the K, but it's actually a C. Anyways, the carousel chicane, and I noticed he didn't take that concrete like these guys are doing, that inside line.
Oh, it's a very, very hard corner to take with a prototype or any type of extremely low, high downforce car. It'll damage the bottom of the car. It'll break things on the car. And the car that you're talking about actually had so much downforce that it really didn't lose any time. It was able to take the top part, the non-banked part, pretty much just as fast as anyone can take the banked part. So that's what you saw there. It's you have the harsh curbs, and you have the harsh banked part of the carousel, and that's all concrete there. So you're battling with a different grip surface than the asphalt that you're driving on the rest of the track, and yeah, it's one of the biggest, most infamous corners in the racing universe, and it's certainly playing a role here.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I mean, just it's one of those things, I guess, where it could be a two-line corner, but like you were mentioning, I don't think those Mustangs can make it stick around the outside, at least not well. But we do have this battle heating up again between Matt Malone, Scott Banks, and Riley Downey. So these guys are all pretty close to each other at the moment, trying to make something happen. We'll try to stick on with this battle unless this battle up front gets closer, but right now it's about 0.7 of a second between Radisavage and Nam. kind of want to see how this slipstream works for these guys getting into this backstretch. You're going to see them come up to this. They're going to go through the carousel. I got it right that time again. And kind of see, you'll see probably Matt Malone gain on this more than these two in front of him due to that double slipstream. And let me tell you, the slipstream is pretty powerful in these cars, as we've seen for the past 2 races, Brennan.
Can't wait to see what happens here at the end of the straight. Obviously, with 3 cars now, it's going to be who's in. As you can see, Downey off into the grass. I wonder what happened there. That's a very, very slow speed corner. I'm not sure if he just overshot it just a little bit, but I'm surprised to see someone go off that early in the second part of that corner. But now we're going to be able to see Malone look at that. Yeah, very powerful slipstream. Are they going to bump draft, or is he going to go for a pass? He's going to go for a pass.
He's going to make it around.
Up towards the top of the hill.
Try to make it around the outside here. He still does have that momentum carrying him on. Man, these guys just going forever and ever and ever. Matt Malone has not cleared him yet. You're going to see him crest the hill here, and he does have him cleared by the time they get to the top of the hill. Matt Malone's going to take that position, but is Banks going to let him have it, or is he going to fight him back? He's going to try. Not quite close enough to make that happen yet, but go ahead and go back here to see exactly what happened to Downey, if we can. You've got Riley Downey up there with the off, just... Oh, well, that was not where I thought it was. Yeah, looks like Downey just got wide.
Yeah, and that looks like another weight issue with these heavy cars. He dropped a wheel. You saw him drop a wheel, and then he tried to save it a little bit. But these cars have so much momentum that him saving it, the car never even started to go to the right. He saved it as it was still kind of going to the left a little bit, and of course that put him into the grass even more, and then into the wall. And yeah,
that's unfortunate again. But I mean. We're only 16 minutes into this race, guys, and I believe almost half the field has found themselves off the track one way or another. And I want to tell you, as Finney did mention in the YouTube chat, guys, this is not normal for this league. I was expecting it for this race, but I honestly didn't expect it because the amount for these drivers, for just the amount of skill that these guys have and how close they've been racing for the past few broadcasts that we've been on with them. This is not a normal thing to see. These gaps that you see, Brennan, this is not what you would normally see through with American Muscle Series.
Yeah, this track really amplifies every small difference between all the drivers. Like you said earlier, the skill difference between the amateur class and the professional class is very, very small. But when you look at the track map, you can see how far apart each class is, and that just shows that this track really does separate the men from the boys here. No matter how small the gap between the classes are, it really shows you and amplifies that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got go ahead and look through this chat real quick. Genghis Calm says I would have caused it. So yeah, I would have too, Genghis. So you're not the only one, and now I've got a bunch of people making fun of me for the broadcasting, for SMB mascot barking back there. And Chris S said it was very bumpy. We were talking about the carousel there. It's a very bumpy part of the track as well. And Genghis said, it doesn't matter what you're driving, you touch grass, you lose it, even in slower cars. And these aren't one of the slower ones, and they definitely have some rear wheel power.
Yeah, I'm known as the off-road Miata driver because of how much time I spend off the track in the Miata and iRacing. It's semi-controllable, but yeah, one of these cars I don't think I could really handle dropping one tire or even just the edge of the tire for that matter. It's I wouldn't want to go on the AstroTurf at Spa or something like that, and I definitely wouldn't want to be defending into this corner right now, because if you make one wrong move, someone's going to get by you.
Appears as if Baker may have almost made a bit of a mistake there, but was able to gather it all together. And I want to just give a huge shout out right now to Luis Enriquez, who is driving a Mustang that if you wreck that in real life and your insurance company came out, would probably be totaled.
Yep, very, very tough cars. Clearly, big hunk of American metal, right?
Yeah, that is exactly what that is. I mean, the front left of that car has seen many better days, and it saw a few better minutes before it got crunched. But it looks like Luis isn't going to wait around with the damage on that car. Looks like he's still going to try to make the pass, and this is going to be not dangerous at all because Luis gets it done before the corner.
Yeah, coming into Bergwerk now, this is a very off-camera corner again. It's kind of hard to see where the exit is, and I hope that Baker can get a good run because there is a long, semi-straight really. It's just a couple of big long curves, but this is another spot that I think you could get a draft and try to make a pass into a couple of the high-speed corners that you kind of have to drag the brakes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know who we haven't really brought up lately? Clint Fletcher. Remember that guy? We talked to him at the beginning of the broadcast. He was our post-race or our pre-race interview. And Fletcher doing a really good job. Looks like he's got a pretty clean car. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do today, Brennan.
I think he's smart. Clearly he knew what he wanted to do in the interview, and I think he's just showing us that right now. It's just clean, consistent, neat and tidy. Good driving line is a little loose there, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. But no, I think staying out of trouble, just hanging on to the draft there, and I hope he does good.
Yeah, and I do want to give a big shout out to Desmond Floyd as well. Did great at the last race at Mount Panorama, and hopped off before we could get him an interview. Doesn't look like his day is going the exact way he wants it to this week, but Desmond, just want to give a big shout out to you, man. Wasn't able to interview you last week, but congratulations, man, on your finish there. And number 86 gets an end of lap penalty post race for an unsafe rejoin. See if we can find that here. See if we can figure out first of all who number 86 is, and then I can go find it. Number 86 would be Key. Try to see if we can find that real quick as we've got the battle starting to heat up again up here in front.
Yes, it is. And of course we're coming into the the long straight again, so we'll see if Nam gets a draft and see if there's another move into the final couple of corners.
Yep, so here we go. This is as long as I believe as Nam can get a good exit here, but what I'm starting to notice here with Nam is he's kind of pretty happy for guys, my dog, I apologize again, but pretty happy to be sitting back there behind Radisavage right now, and you can see the closing speed. I just don't think he's actually going for a move at this point. Yeah, you can see him just...
I was going to say, I wonder if there's any fuel strategy coming into this line of driving. It's, of course, they have to stop for fuel, and the less fuel that you can take, the quicker your pit stop's going to be. So I wonder if he's trying to play into that side of the strategy, or maybe he just knows that they might be a little bit quicker and will pull away from the third place driver and the rest of the pack if he doesn't try to and just sticks in line and drafts up and down the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to try to see here. We can see maybe where Mike Key went off the track and why exactly he got an unsafe rejoin. That would be where he went off. Now, where is the unsafe rejoin to get back on to the track? Oh!
Wow.
Found it. Yep.
Yep, and I'm sure these things don't have the best brakes, and weighing so much, I think, it was just too difficult to stop, and of course, a collision was imminent with him pulling right into the middle of the track.
Yeah, there is not much really else needs to be said about that incident. I do believe the stewards got it right on that one. So, with that being said, the interval here between Radisavage and Nam, man, if you're Radisavage right now, you've run a great clean race up here in first place. Around the Nürburgring, you're on lap 4 already, man, and you're probably just like, why will this guy not go away?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments. This track is very enjoyable to drive, and I think it would be nice to drive alone, maybe, without Aeronom right behind you trying to pass you. But yeah, I'd be a little bit on edge, looking in my mirrors all the time. And of course, when you're looking in your mirrors, you're not looking at the road. So then you crash, and it's a much bigger issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go. We are on lap 4 right now. The leaders are on lap 4, I should say. Randall McGrew sent me some fuel numbers from practice. And if anybody is driving and listening to the stream, close your ears. So for you guys that are just watching the stream, tanks are limited to 9.7 gallons. When he ran it, his personal usage was between about 1.58 and 1.65 gallons per lap. He said faster drivers should need just over 2 laps of fuel during the fuel stop. Slower drivers might need 2.5 to 3 laps. Everyone should be able to get 5 laps out of the initial fuel load. Faster drivers employing a marginal amount of fuel saving can probably stretch it to 6. So this is actually, from what I'm reading from Randall's, actually pretty close. You could probably stretch it to 6, as Randall was saying, but do you want to take that chance? And, we're 25 minutes into the session. If you go in on 5, you're going to make it on fuel. But, yeah, I mean, what would you do in this situation, Brennan?
I would listen to my teammate. I'm not very good with these fuel calculations, but I trust these guys. I think no matter what they do, they'll make the right decision. I know they're both very smart drivers, and yeah, I would I would do the right thing is what I would do.
Yeah, that is a great answer. That is a very commentator answer of you, by the way, to just do the right thing. So we'll see exactly what these guys do. See if these guys try to switch up strategy at all. Maybe that's what Nom's waiting for. Like you said, maybe he is employing a little bit of fuel-saving strategy. Radisavage may have to come in just a little bit earlier, and that will give Eero the space he might need to get in front of Radisavage on his pit stop. But pit stops on this are going to be pretty weird. I really haven't seen any green flag pit stops yet. We have seen a lot of pit stops, but all of those pit stop times, as you saw at the bottom of your screen, are not relevant to what would actually be an actual race stop, because all of those guys have gone in for damage so far. So this is going to be interesting here. Still following on with this battle. We do have a little bit of a battle forming between Little and Price back here in 16th and 17th. We can go to that right now. I'll actually pull up the gains for all of these drivers so you can see how much they've gained or how much they've fallen from the start of the race. Right now, Little's up 4 positions from the start, doing a really good job. Man, sitting 5th in his class.
Yeah, 5th in class is very good for him, and for a track like this, it's just it's really, I mean, as you can see, many people have crashed out of this race, and just to be alive at this point, I'd be happy. And P5 in class, I'd be even happier. It's nothing to be upset about. I'd be very happy to be in that position. So yeah, good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing it. Oh my goodness. Go ahead, Brennan. You may have to take it over.
Well, hello, Lewis. First of all, welcome to the broadcast. Up into that tight corner that we just saw, Matt Malone, remember a couple laps ago, had to take a brief slowdown. It looked like. Now
okay, I'm
back.
back.
To another high-speed corner.
Apologies there, Brennan. Dog's getting a little bit antsy. But anyways, getting back here to the actual racing, this battle between Little and Price still going. And then also, it looks like Blair and Edward were extremely close at one point. But it looks like Blair may have fallen just a little bit off the back of Edward right now. And then you've got Puchik and Guzenda right in front of them, actually battling a little bit. So we do have these mini battles going on throughout the field. Looks like Riley Downey just went off the track. Take a quick look at that and see what happened to him. That is what you call entering a corner a little bit too quickly, Brennan.
Yep, and he left it very quickly too, as you saw.
That was a great way to get off the track without re-entering unsafely. But with that being said, Malone back up here on the back of Clark. It appears as if, man, Malone he's quick. He's just a little bit inconsistent right now.
Yeah, that's something that you just cannot be at this track. It's like like we saw on lap one, it's one little mistake will throw everything out the window. So you really have to stick to the guy behind you and keep your head down. Don't pay attention to anything else other than the road ahead of you. And I hope that that's what he's going to do for the rest of the race here.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to, maybe trying to still learn his lines a little bit. Still there in 5th place overall as well as in class, so doing an okay job. No gains or losses, which if you're looking at the average right now, a lot of people have lost track position over gaining it. But Roy Baker here has gained 12 positions. I think the biggest mover of them all moving forward. We do have some big movers going backwards, but we don't want to talk about them because no need to add insult to injury. But right now, Roy Baker has really gained 12 positions, first in class. I think he was probably one of the really lucky ones to get through that first lap incident.
Yeah, and to come out ahead of all of your competitors is another big plus. Yeah, just good point.
Yeah, going here, gonna try to see if I can. I don't know if YouTube will let me post a picture or not. Doesn't look like it will. You guys wanted to all see the dog that is causing me so much grief right now. Unfortunately, I cannot do that in the YouTube chat. But going back to the action on track right now, Baker again is, holy cow, he is a full minute ahead of Guzenda, who's up 6 positions, 2nd place in class, 10th overall, and Puchik rounds out the top 3 for the AM class at the moment. Appears as if Radisavage has gone around again, and so has Nam. So this is going to be lap 5 for them. Yeah, you would expect a pit stop coming pretty quick.
Yeah, and I was talking about the fuel strategy, but this might be another strategy. I think Arrow might want to just do exactly what Radisavage does in terms of pit stops. I don't think he wants to be stuck out alone on track because that could obviously, make for some very poor lap times because you won't be in the draft. But I think that's smart for both of them. It's only going to improve both of their races, and they've continued to pull away from the cars behind.
I mentioned Matt Malone and trying to get consistent and all of that stuff, right? Well, you can see that Matt Malone was up there in 5th place. He is no longer there. He is down in 24th place and in the pits. And let me show you why. Just gets his car into the grass, and it just kept tracking out towards the wall.
And that's the second car that's done that at that same exact spot. And earlier I said that was a little bit unusual, but I guess in these cars it's a big trouble spot. For 2 cars that's literally the same exact incident that happened just a couple laps ago.
Yes, it is, but that's neither here nor there because the battle up front is starting to heat up just a little bit. I think this is the closest I've seen Nam on Radisavage the whole time. It appears as if Nam has decided to put the pressure on him because he is now there. He is actually looking like he may try to make a move maybe before the pits.
Yeah, and it almost looks like right before we switched over to this, maybe Radisavage had a little bit of a loosey-goosey moment, and that could have hurt his tires a little bit because for a couple of corners back-to-back, he was way offline, and I wonder if that's what brought Nam right up to him, and now maybe Nam is thinking, well, maybe I don't want to be behind this guy if he's making these sorts of mistakes, and maybe he wants to get by, and maybe he wants to take lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and go here in the cockpit right now. So go back to Nam so you can see what he's seeing behind Radisavage. And, yeah, you tell me if this would be an easy track to drive alone, but while you're trying to follow another car, he is doing a great job.
Yeah, and especially coming into this corner, you're practically staring at a wall coming down the hill. And, yeah, this is one of the tighter spots. Again, this is a spot that has the speed limit. And I don't think you'll see many passes here. If anything, you'll see a couple of crashes, and then maybe obviously people passing the crashed car. There's the concrete wall I was talking about. This is one of the biggest elevation changes. In a lot of simulators, you don't see elevation change that much, but on that corner, you really do. You're almost looking up at the top of your screen to see where the road goes. And now, of course, we're back into the high-speed flat sections and into this last low-speed corner before the slight curved straights leading to the carousel.
Yeah, looking at the lines here between these two, it looks like Nam is taking a bit of a tighter line than Radisavage is deciding to take, getting into some of these corners. Obviously helping Radisavage maybe a little bit on apex and exit speed, but that's probably where Nam is closing in. Maybe just trying to size him up and see where he's able to make the move. And it does appear that we have another incident with Joe Edward. Go ahead and take a gander here. Don't tell me it was the same corner again. Oh, Joe Edward just decided to get off the track this time and send it back to the pits for some reason.
It looked like he had some damage on the right front before that. I don't know if that was from a couple laps ago or just then, but yeah, that's too bad for him. He was doing pretty good.
Man, I was just here talking about Clint Fletcher and how well he was doing. Got a little bit of an off track. Doesn't look like he had too much damage. Looks like he actually narrowly avoided disaster there, and he's going to keep going. So good on you, Clint. Heck of a save. But back to the
on
front.
board now with Aeronam.
Yeah, this is getting pretty close at this point. Trying to figure out exactly when Nam is going to try to make this move. It doesn't. Maybe he is still sitting back, and riding on board here, we can kind of watch his revs and see if he does start to let off as he catches Radisavage, because they're going to come down through these two carousels here, and we'll figure out exactly what happens after that. But we'll stay on board with them for just a little while, because it looks like all of these intervals have really started to stretch out towards the back of the field.
Yeah, and that was another one of the things that I mentioned earlier on. It's one of these tracks where it's either going to be really close or really spread out. But I hope these pit stops coming up here will sort that out a little bit. Of course, some people have bad pit stops, some people have really good pit stops. So if they all shuffle out together, I think for us that'll be great to watch. But for them, I'm sure it'll be a terrifying experience. Pit exit is very, very tight at this track too, in between two metal barriers, and from if you don't have good depth perception, you could end up bouncing off one of those, get some damage, and have to do a whole lap with damage. It's never fun.
No, it is absolutely not. But with that being said, a lot of these cars are carrying damage, Brendan, and I am thoroughly impressed with how quick these cars are when it looks like they should be junked in the pits.
Yeah, that's right. I think any other car they would be junked in the pits, but I guess there's just something about this Mustang here that's just super tough, and maybe it's because it wasn't completely perfectly aerodynamic to begin with. Maybe they made it more aerodynamic by smushing the nose down or something. But yeah, clearly these are very strong cars.
Yeah, that is. Oh my goodness, Radisavage does get into the grass. That is going to hurt him. Really, you would think all the way down this stretch, but looks like Nam's actually not closing as quickly as I thought he would. You can see that gap closing and closing and closing more and more and more. But as of this moment, Nam, it looks like, is just going to go ahead and hang out behind him, getting into these last final corners of, go ahead, Brennan.
Yeah, I think just the racer's mentality here. If you're in the lead, obviously that's a good thing, but everything is on you. The pressure is on you. What are you going to do? If you're in second place and you're not actively looking to pass, all you have to do is sit back and drive. Well, that's all you have to do. Well, I
wanted to ask you, I told you to go ahead because I want you to explain to me, how do you pronounce that last corner name? Hohenrain? Hohenrain?
Hohenrain, yeah.
Hohenrain.
I believe that's what it would be.
Okay, got it. So I'm going to get these down, guys. By the end of this race, I promise you, I will try to get through a lap, and I'm going to try to pronounce every corner on this track. And I really hope Finney doesn't boot me or kick me out and tell me that I can't broadcast for him anymore, because some of these are extremely tough, but I'm going to give it a go. If the battles on track aren't as close as they are right now between Nam and Radisavage. And to be honest, I don't see those going away. And it looks like we do have our first pit stops. Bubchak and Clark coming in. And again, remember, these guys do have their quick repairs as well. So you're going to see some of these cars fix themselves. We're going to take a gander here. We're going to stay here on Hoopcheck, see exactly how long he spends in the pits. 15.9 in the box. I would assume that means he didn't take tires. And he's out of the pits at about 30 seconds. So it is pretty quick stop.
Yeah, that was really good. And to the fast repair thing, it's, whenever I'm driving and I have a fast repair, I make sure it's unchecked. And even if I get a little bit of damage, if I'm not noticing that much, I'm going to keep it unchecked just in case in a couple corners from where I pit, I get into another big crash. And if I took the fast repair when I had some minor damage, I'm not going to have it left when I have major damage. So if I were a lot of these guys, I wouldn't be taking the fast repair. But obviously, some people might be having overheating issues or might be having some steering issues. And then yes, you should take it. But yeah, it's just interesting to see all the different pit times. Clearly, people are doing many different things than one another.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, this battle's still raging on up front here. We're going to see how these pits... Oh, my goodness, as Radisavage took that curb and a whole lot more. That has just allowed Nam to get right back up onto the back bumper again. And they are starting to catch lap traffic just a little bit. So we're going to see. You wouldn't expect, I can't believe I'm saying lap traffic around a 13-mile track, but yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, and that corner that Radisavage just had a problem with Adenauer. He had that problem for the past 2 laps. That is where Arrow has made up the most time. Out of all the corners on this track, it's been through Adenauer. So I wonder if he's just having a little bit of a confidence issue or something through that corner where the car gets a little bit twitchy and he has to slow it down just a little bit more before he gets into the tight corners after the fast left-hander.
Yeah, that may be what it is, but it appears that Radisavage is able to get it gathered back up quick enough. Now, the question is, if Nam gets by him, gonna have to clean it up a little bit because I think Nam, at this point, I hope this isn't the case because I do want to see, no offense to Eero Nam, you are a wonderful driver, my man, but I do want to see some other drivers try to get into this championship battle at the top of the points to maybe make it a bit more interesting to get as they get. I mean, we're already closing in. We've only got 3 more races after this, so hopefully we can see a bit of a battle. And only way that's going to happen is if Radisavage finishes ahead of Nam. But right now, it looks like Nam's just like a tiger playing with his food.
Yeah, and when you look at the points, it shows that Arrow Nam knows what he's doing. He's a very smart driver, and I think right now, I was talking about the fuel saving, and I was talking about how it's kind of more on the leader than the second place guy. The second place guy can kind of chill out for a little bit, but I think Arrow is gathering information. He's learning how Radisavage drives. Obviously, he's driven with him before, but each track is different. He's learning all the little quirks of the driver ahead, and he's learning where he can pounce on that driver. And I think Adenauer and the exit of Adenauer is going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, so we're looking at the points right now. You can see Nam up there with 417 points in that pro class, with Scott Banks being the closest competitor to him with 267. Radisavage is all the way down there in 6th. I would assume he may have missed a couple races to allow him or to push him down that far, because from what I've seen these past couple races, I don't think Radisavage should be that far down there.
No, but again, it's every point counts, and every corner counts, and every little mistake counts. And if he keeps making more mistakes, in Adenauer and in some of these other corners, it's going to be all on Arrow to, all eyes are going to be on Arrow, and I think he might come out ahead.
Absolutely.
I have not seen many errors from Arrow.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Very nice, Brendan. That was a good one. But, with that being said, and talking about the points and no mistakes, why would Arrow even want to try to get past Radisavage unless he does it in the pits? He's pretty content right now, I would say, with riding around in 2nd.
Well, a racer is a racer. I mean, Arrow could be 1 million points ahead, 1 million points behind, or tied with Radisavage right now in the points, and you're going to want to win that race. It's just one of those things. Mid-race, obviously, you're going to, sit back and relax maybe, but when that checkered flag comes closer and closer, you really want to be the first one to it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And we just did, excuse me, guys. We did just see a pass. Scott Brooks was able to get around John Hill. It looks like John may have had a slow down or something because he was tapping the brakes just a little bit going down the straightaway. So slow down, if you guys are not familiar with a slowdown penalty, you get it if you cut the track or something. iRacing deems you cut the track. That is not done by the admins, and you have a certain amount of time to get your car slowed down and gain or allow that time back that you would have cut off. But problem is, if you don't, then you get a black flag and you have to come through the pits.
That's going to hurt you a lot. Even though the gaps are a little bit extended, it's nothing like a a good old 30-second time penalty stopping in the pits. That'll really hurt you, and to think that that's all from a little mistake at one corner, yeah, you really want to give up that time as quick as you can, as we think we saw just a couple minutes ago. Yeah,
absolutely. But here we are again going down the backstretch here. The Nürburgring Nordschleife. I hope I got that right. I probably didn't, but I believe that's what the backstretch is called here. And you can see Radosavich just still hanging out ahead of Nam. Vinny in the YouTube chat said, "Don't sleep on Zoran. He has used all of his drops so far. It could be an exciting finish." One thing that we haven't mentioned, these drivers have drop weeks. So, it could be pretty interesting getting down here into the finals. Oh my goodness! Nam said, "Okay, I think I'm going to make the move and then take my pit stop." Now, this is going to get real interesting. Oh, woo! Radosavich and Nam get pretty close together getting into the pits. Keep that under the pit speed. Now, are they going to take tires or are they just coming in for fuel? That is going to be the question. If they are coming in for tires, you will see it. If I can get to it, you'll see the car lift up. And it looks like Nam is taking tires. Yeah. Is Radosavich going to take them? He is not.
No.
So that gets Radosavich back out in front of Nam. But Nam, it looks like, took left sides. It's going to be interesting to the finish now.
And I'm sure Radosavich is happy to get out of the pits ahead of Nam after Nam made that pass right before pit entry. I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think now we're going to see who made the right call. Aero is just a couple seconds now behind Radosavich, and Radosavich has much older tires than Aero does. Aero struggling a little bit with the cold tires there, pushing a little bit. But no, this will be really interesting to see, and it's going to be very clear who made the right call here in a couple of minutes.
As you guys see David Clymer there in the pits, I want to go back and show you this pass that Nam made, because we had just gotten back onto them when we watched this pass, and I'm going to have to do this one in slow motion because this was a thing of beauty. Gets around the outside, but as he gets into the corner, he just looks like he was able to... Oh, this is actually where it was done. I thought it was done way later than this.
Yeah, at these speeds, it does go by very quickly, and that's a very tough spot to do it, right over the crest of the hill. Obviously, you do want to be driver's right because the next tight corner is a right-hander, and you want to take the inside of that, but that track disappears very quickly over the top of that hill, and the track gets a little bit more narrow, so you really have to be spot on with the execution of the pass.
Yeah, that was a very, very nicely done by Nam, but gave it away in the pits. Keep in mind, Nam took left sides. It looks like he took left sides. He may have taken right sides as well, Brendan. I don't know if you saw the right side of the car go up or not, but I do know for a fact that Radosavich did not take any tires.
Yeah, I did not catch what side tires Aero took, but you can see that the gap is going up a little bit. I don't know if that's still cold tires, but... yeah, I hope we get to see Aero get back up there and give Radosavich a challenge. Both of these drivers know what they're doing, and both of these drivers have a drastically different idea of what the strategy should be. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, with pit stops being completed here, we're going to see. We saw Clymer. It looked like he was one of the last guys to get into the pits. And you can see him closing right now on Scott Banks very quickly. Scott is dealing with a little bit of damage, and I mean, I know I mentioned that these cars are pretty resilient, and watching some of those guys, while they were behind other cars, they were able to keep pace and even try to make some moves, but you kind of wonder how much that damage is going to affect you in a straight line with nobody behind you.
Yeah, and how much it affects the guy behind you too, because iRacing is very realistic, and if the car ahead of you has a little bit of front end damage, it might be punching a slightly bigger hole or slightly more turbulent hole in the air, and who knows, maybe that will give Climber a better draft and give him some more speed to get up to Banks.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead back on here with Roy Baker. Haven't really been on him that much, and then we'll take you guys through the field, but just want to give a shout out to Roy Baker. I say this every race, and I'm going to say it again. When you don't talk about somebody that much, it means you're doing pretty well or you've crashed. So, Roy Baker has a fairly clean, looks like a pristine car riding around right now by himself, first in class, 34 seconds ahead of Dave Blair in second in class for the AMS. So, obviously, Baker knows what he's doing around here, and he is maximizing his points haul the best he can.
Yeah, hard charger awards so far, too, up 12 positions. And you can't say that that's all because of the wreck, because everyone who got by the wrecks, their things don't say up 12 positions. So clearly he's doing something better than some of the other people are, except for that right there.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead.
An hour.
We're going to go ahead and cut off a Roy Baker, because this seems to happen every time I try to talk about somebody. They make a mistake. So, go ahead and take you through the field here. I'll let you take it away real quick, Brennan.
Yeah, the gap is growing. So you have Aeronama on cold tires, and the gap is growing in between him and Radisavage into the first carousel, the main carousel, the infamous one. And he's gaining up a little bit on him right now, but no, the gap is still increasing. Yeah, that's just very interesting. And by now, the tires are going to be up to temperature. So,
yep, we've got Hoopchak here in third place, running his own race again. Really haven't talked about him that much either. So, obviously a good thing as of right now. We're going to get to talk to him after the race, so we'll get to talk about him a little more there with Roger Clark in fourth overall and fourth in class. Scott Banks down there in fifth. With David Clymer, again, we just talked about, in sixth, actually kind of fallen off the back of Banks just a little bit from what we saw a little bit before. Clint Fletcher, we did see have a bit of an incident a little earlier. We did a post-race interview, or a pre-race interview with him. Said he wanted to just keep it clean, maximize points, and he's done exactly that today. Up 6 positions in 7th place. Luis Henriquez back there in 8th with Matt Malone, and we did see Matt Malone make a bit of a mistake. When I say a bit, he made a pretty big one. Had to tow back to the pits, and for him to be up there in 9th place at the moment, pretty impressive. Down 4 positions, though, but still moving on, and I'll let you take it for the next 10, Brennan.
Yeah, he may be down 4 positions, but still very good race by him. Baker, again, up 12 positions. We're looking at him right now. It's just a wonderful run. Clean car, it looks like, from here. Blair, up 6 positions. He's 30 seconds behind Baker, of course, but that's still good from him. Edgar, we saw Edgar hit the wall a couple laps ago. That was a long time ago, but this is a long track. But it looks like he's got things back together. He's only down 3 positions, so back up to 3rd place in the AM class.
Oh, look at that. You may get to interview your buddy there, Brennan.
Yes, I might.
Got Matthew Guzinda back here right now, 4th in class, 13th overall. Man, you know a guy's good when he even has a picture of a Mustang on his profile picture. So Matthew right now doing a good job, just up 3 positions from where he started. So I don't think you can be too upset about that, especially with everything that happened at the beginning of the race. Matt Thompson back there, about 29 seconds off of Guzinda. 14th place with Jay Little in 15th. John Hill in 16th. Scott Brooks in 17th. Tom Went in 18th. Desmond Floyd still out there driving around, doing what he can, and it looks like he is the last of the cars
And it looked like, unfortunately, Scott Brooks is just nursing his car back. It looked like he had a bit of engine trouble, and you can see it looks like he pit and towed back to pit lane. A lot of smoke coming out of the back of that car. That might have been due to damage, and that'll end your day very quickly. If the engine blows up, it's game over pretty much, unless you're right at pit lane.
Try to see what happened here with Scott if we can. Looking like everything's okay for now. Coming over the top of the hill. Does he just get a little bit loose? Maybe misjudges something? No. All good through there as well. Uh-oh. I see it coming now.
Adenauer takes another driver. I said this was going to be one of the toughest corners. If you look at all the YouTube videos of this track and all the crash compilations, a lot of them are from this corner. And Scott just looks like he's another victim of Adenauer tonight.
Yeah, that is unfortunate there for Scott. But getting back up here to the lead, we took you through the field. You can see that the battles are starting to form just a little bit. Clymer and Banks, Malone and Henriquez, but this is the battle that everybody, I'm sure, wants to see right now. This is Nam and Radisavich. There's about 5 minutes left in the session, Brennan, and look who's back.
Yeah, it looks like the tires have just gotten up to temp, and Arrow's coming right back at Radisavich. I mean, this is the one to keep an eye on. Obviously, Malone is in a battle right now, and Clymer, but you know, these two we've seen every single round this season. It's always them, and they're just some of the best drivers out there.
Yeah, it's gonna get pretty interesting here. Let's see. Man, you can definitely see those tires working better for Nam than they are for Radisavich, as Radisavich even gets a little bit wide, but you could see visibly that gap close through those corners, as Radisavich is probably at this point just trying to nurse this car back. Are they going to be able to get this lap done is the question. It's going to be close, Brennan.
It is going to be close, and if these guys keep driving quicker and quicker, we will get another lap. But yeah, we won't know. But we should always assume it's the final lap. And I think Arrow is last lap or not. I think Arrow's going to want to get a move on here. I think he sees that Radisavich is a little bit slower. I mean, again, that's no fault to Radisavich. I think he was just betting on the tires taking a little bit longer to warm up. And if it was a little bit longer, Radisavich would be much farther ahead on what could be the final lap.
Yeah, go ahead and take a look here at these lap times between these top two and the rest of the field. 7:38 for Radisavich and a 7:37.9 for Nam. So they are not that far off each other. Those are their best times as well. But then, guy in third, Hubchak, running his own race, 7:42. As there is a bit of lap traffic that Radisavich has to deal with, and that's going to close Nam up on him just even a little more. This is going to get interesting here. We have 57 minutes left. Man, this is going to be really close, but this, I believe, is going to be the final lap, Brennan.
Well, coming into Bergwerk on what we say is the final lap. And yeah, I think Arrow is just now trying to pick and choose where he wants to go. We're already past Adenauer, which we saw as Radisavich's weak spot tonight. And a couple of long straights. Obviously, we're on another long, slightly curvy straight. A couple of drag the brake moments here, and coming up to the carousel. And yeah, this is going to get really interesting really fast.
Yeah, this is going to be it right here. So Nam biding his time. This may turn in, I hope I don't spoil anything for anybody for the F1 race this weekend, but this may turn into a bit of a Leclerc-Verstappen thing. Maybe Nam just is deciding at this point, you've got a big backstretch coming up, and you know the slipstream is strong.
Yeah, and we know that he can make a pass there. We saw him make a pass there right before the pit stops, and I think he's hoping to recreate that. But I'm sure Radisavich, is already thinking about what he's going to do differently this lap than the lap he got past. Maybe he's going to push Nam a little bit wider because, like I said, that grass comes towards the track very quickly. So if you alter your line just a little bit, that could freak Nam out a little bit, and you can already see Nam getting right up to the bumper. I am in your mirrors. and I am coming to get by you.
So we did get clarification or confirmation from Randall, league owner, said this is the final lap. So this is going to be it. This is, I mean, can you ask for anything more, Brennan, than a 59-minute race, almost 1 hour, for the top two to be battling for the overall win?
Well, knowing these drivers, you almost have to say, yeah, you did kind of expect this from them. It's just what they do. They have great racing. They're great racing drivers, and I'm just happy to be here watching it with you guys.
Yeah, this is don't go anywhere. Please don't. I would say it's just getting started at this point. Eero Nam, obviously nobody to mess around with. Radisavage also extremely quick. See what kind of moves Radisavage can make here to try to break Eero just a little bit before they get to that straightaway, because Eero, that 0.5 of a second gap on Radisavage is nothing when they get to this backstretch. Go ahead and stay on board with you, or with Eero, as we get to this backstretch. They're coming through the final carousel, coming up pretty quickly here, and then they've got a few more corners, and then it's going to be a drag race to, I'm going to say it, Hohenrain. I think I got it right, and then it's going to be a few more corners that, if there have been any jostling for position, you mentioned it at the beginning of the race, Brennan, this is where it could get pretty hairy for these guys. As Radisavage gets it just a little bit wider than Nam, able to hold on to it, though, and here we go.
Yep, coming into the corner right before the Dotting Turho, and this is a corner that's caught a couple people out. Looks like Eero's a little bit wide. I hope he doesn't do what everyone else did, but hopefully he's still got enough draft here to get up on Radisavage, and it looks like he is. He's closing in on Radisavage bit by bit.
He's coming, and it looks like Nam may have actually let off the throttle just a little bit right there. That was a interesting tactic. We're going to see if Nam's going to try to get onto Radisavage. You can see the speed right now of Nam, 144-ish. Get up here to Radisavage and show you that he's doing 140. So you can definitely tell that slipstream is impressive. And here comes Nam around the outside. See if he can make the move. Radisavage is going to push him wide.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Radisavage knew that move was going to happen again, and he had to alter his line.
Oh my goodness, here comes Radisavage trying to get another.
Almost blows it.
Oh, are they going to come side by side down the line? Radisavage on the inside. Nam trying to hold him off. He's going to. That is going to be the race win to Eero Nam on the final lap of the final corner of an hour-long race at the Nürburgring. Holy cow.
I can finally breathe.
Oh.
You can see these two cars who have been clean the whole race now have a couple of dings in them. And I think it was all worth it for Eero, obviously. And I think that was all Radisavage could do, was just try to alter his line a little bit and push Eero just a little bit wide. But that was a great finish.
Absolutely it was. And you see Evan Hubchak coming across the line in third to take the final podium position for the pro class, as well as third overall. Great drive by Hubchak. Stayed out of trouble. Got his third place. Roger Clark in fourth, with Scott Banks coming across the line in fifth right now. David Clymer, though, he tried to have something to say about that, but couldn't quite get there in time. We do have a battle here, though, between Henriquez and Malone as well. Still forming up, because they're coming down the backstretch now. We may have one more in store for us here, Brennan.
We could. Malone is in the same position that Eero Nam was in, and that's a position that I hope to be in. And Henriquez obviously trying to break the draft a little bit, but I don't think it's going to work. I think Malone is going to be able to get up alongside him the same way that Eero did. Maybe Henriquez will take the right hand line, and we'll see if Malone can do it on the left side of the corner. But no matter what, we're going to see what happens. Closing.
They're going to come over the top of the hill. Malone is going to break left and try to get this done on the left side. But the problem is now he has opened himself up just a little bit for a whoa, gets a little bit loose, and Malone goes flying through, able to get the move done. But oh no! Henriquez is able to get it back, but there are still a couple more. appears as if Enriquez is going to hold on to that. Malone just got on the brakes. It looked like, what is going on here?
Looks like Henriquez felt bad about that contact there and wanted to give Malone the spot back, but I think Malone said nope. I think that was a pretty good pass, and I think he's happy with P9 tonight.
Absolutely. Stand up by Malone for getting on the brakes there and allowing that battle to happen without getting too upset. And great racing between those two, as well as we are now watching Roy Baker cross the line. 36 seconds ahead of Guzenda in second place in class for the AMS. Baker is 10th overall. Guzenda is 11th. Baker's getting across the line right now. Now we've got Guzenda coming up right now, about to hit Hornrain and finish his race out again. Just, well, I mean, doing what they do. I mean, this was a very boring race for these guys in this AM class after everything started to filter out.
Yeah, there was a few battles here and there, but yeah, I think, after the pit stop especially, I think there's drastically different times in the pits tonight for these guys. And, it's a tough track to do fuel strategy because the laps are so long, but, we see him come on in second place and David Blair in third place now, coming to finish in the AM class. So good for those three. And looks like Edgar lost that spot.
That is unfortunate for Edgar. I don't quite know what happened to him. We were probably on that battle up front when something happened, but it doesn't look like his car is too damaged. May have just not had the tires there at the end, but who knows? Whatever happened, Edgar coming home in fourth in class with Jay Little back here. Coming home fifth in class, 14th overall. Thompson. And then Hill. Now, Hill is the last driver on the track, and Hill has a long way to go before he gets across the line.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be coming into the Beloff S's here pretty soon, and yeah, that is a long ways away.
Yeah, so we got Hill back here by himself. Going to get him a bit of airtime as he's the last driver on track, that number 84 Mustang. Just trying to keep it clean. Don't mess up now, John. We're all watching you. You're the last one. But, man, while we're watching John, what an unbelievable race, Brennan. My mind is blown that those guys can drive for an hour and still be battling into the final turn of the final lap at the Nürburgring.
Yeah. Yep, this track never does disappoint, and it's like I said, this is just one of my favorite tracks in the service. It's very challenging, but very rewarding in the same way, and I think Arrow's going to be really happy to come away with the win on this one.
Absolutely is, and we're going to go ahead and watch Hill get across the line here eventually, probably about another 30 seconds or so, and then we will hear from the drivers, hopefully. Top three in the Pro, which it was Nam, Radisavich, and Hubchak, as well as Baker, Guzenda, and Blair, top three in the AMS. So, get ready for that. I'm sure they're going to have quite a bit to say. Going to be probably a bit of an interesting debrief between Nam and Radisavich. If I was in that position, I would have had an absolute blast. Obviously, if I was Nam, I'd be a little happier right now than Radisavich, but that's neither here nor there. Great race between those two. Radisavich leading almost the whole race other than two corners, and one of them were the most important.
Yeah, and the most important is the only one that matters. And I think, Arrow, like I said, I think he was just conserving his own energy really throughout that whole race, just sitting back and relaxing. Yeah.
Well, here we go into the results. Arrow Nam, you see it there. Takes first place, barely. That gap, that 0.2 of a second gap, does not explain what happened on those last few corners between those two, between him and Zoran Radisavich, with Hubchak coming home third, Clark fourth, Banks fifth, Clymer sixth, Fletcher seventh, Enriquez eighth, and Matt Malone ninth. Roy Baker first place in the AM class, with Guzenda coming in behind him in second, and Dave Blair in third, 12th overall, followed by Sanchinelli, Little, Thompson, Hill, Brooks, Went. If my overlay will get going, there it goes. Brooks, Went, Floyd, and 19th, Price 20th, Puchik 21st. Edward, 22nd. Key, Downey, Nickham, Hodgson, and Burrows and McGrew, who did not run a lap. But, again, that's because they were doing their thing in the admin booth as well as stewarding. So, with that being said, we do have our first place finisher of Eero Nam. That's going to be you, Brennan. I will hand him over to you. Eero Nam, first place in the pro class and first place overall.
Eero Nam, congratulations. You were giving us a great show throughout the whole race, especially that last lap. Walk us through all the way up that final straight into the final couple corners.
Yeah, maybe it's not so good for me to stay behind Soran, but he was fastest, so I figured this is my only chance to win. And going to the last straight there, he slowed down, tried to let me pass like we're racing in F1. So yeah, going to the back straight. There was little contact. I thought this is over because I was already on the grass and all crossed up. But yeah, it was very close at the end and very clean racing the last few turns.
Yeah, we figured that drafting was going to be part of the strategy here, but another strategy part that we were going to be talking about was the tires. Who took what tires? We saw you take tires. When you saw Radisavage not take tires, were you a little bit worried there? Were you wondering if he was going to pull away and get out earlier than you, or were you thinking, no, I'm going to have brand new tires, I'm going to definitely beat this guy?
Well, not beating, but I knew I can catch him up plus the straights. So yeah, I wasn't sure how much the tires will be there, but maybe it was, especially in the last turns, in the last lap, I think it helped.
Talking about the mentality of sitting behind somebody, were you almost just kind of relaxed sitting behind Radisavage, where, Radisavage had to keep thinking about, you, a very fast driver, in his mirrors? Were you just kind of sitting back and saying, okay, I'll let him do his thing, I'll stick right with him, and I'll make my move when I have to make my move?
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to figure out how far I have to stay behind. Didn't want to go very close. I'm not sure about the net code, so yeah, I was trying to stay like half a second behind, but he was driving pretty fast, so it was almost sometimes hard to keep up. But yeah, he was definitely driving more aggressively, using more track. But I had to think about championships and finishing races, so I took it really easy, actually.
Well, Eero, that's all I have for you. I'll hand it over to Adam, but I just want to say congratulations. That was an epic win, and you definitely deserved it tonight.
Thank you.
That was Eero Nam, first place finisher in the pro class, and it appears as if we don't have the other two of Radisavage and Hubchek there, but we do have the first place or the second place finisher, I apologize, of Matthew Guzenda in the AM class. Matthew, welcome in. Walk me through the start, man. That was that was impressive.
Yeah, so I tried to stay clean, and then I got caught up in, I think it was Mike and Mike's wreck, and it was right in front of me, and took me out. Took a bunch of folks out behind us. I thought that was it for the race. But then, just kind of got back in and did every lap like it was a qualifying lap, just tried to stay clean. It was kind of quiet. I think I had Mike behind me for a little bit, but then the rest of the race, it was kind of like I was on a country drive. I was just watching my split, trying to keep my time as good as I could.
Yeah, we actually just flashed to the replay of, whatever the heck that was there at the beginning, man. But after that, like you mentioned, you were just able to just run your own race, man. I just kind of explain to me, you drive an hour around a Nürburgring in an FR 500S. How much does that take out of you? Because the weight and just wheeling that car around has to be something pretty insane.
It is pretty tough, and I think I was listening to you guys a little bit earlier. You were talking about the difference between the pro and the AM guys. Like, if you watch some of the pro guys that are really fast, they'll get up on the curbs and they know where they can take advantage of that. For me, I'm just like trying to stay off of everything and stay as clean as I can. If I slip on a curve sometimes and I get lucky, then I just count that as luck. But I don't try to use the curbs, especially with this car, because it'll unsettle so easily if you bounce on the wrong curb.
Sure.
So it's really just about keeping clean, which is not the most exciting thing. But, if you can kind of keep consistent, try not to burn the tires up too much. The whole race, I was debating whether I was going to take tires at the pit stop, and I just, they didn't feel that bad when I did it. So luckily I was able to hold on, so it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it was good, man. Like I mentioned in the broadcast, a boring race is normally a good one. When we're not talking about you a lot, obviously we talked about you at the beginning of the race. We talked about half the field in that one, and then we really didn't bring your name up again throughout the rest of it. So clean race is a good race, I'd say. But anybody you want to thank, anybody you want to shout out before we let you go, Matthew?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Roy and Dave that placed in our class. Obviously, Simpit and Bruno for sponsoring us, and then Randall for hosting the league. This is one of the most fun leagues. Enjoy it every week.
Well, I'm telling you what, Matthew, it is an absolute blast to broadcast as well. Thank you, man, and we hope to talk to you next week.
Thank you.
That was Matthew Guzenda in second place in the AM class, and we have one more interview, Brennan, and I'm going to hand it over to you. That is Dave Blair. Third place in the AM. There he is.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Dave. Good job tonight. We had our eyes on you for quite a bit of the race, and it seemed like a pretty exciting race for you. How about you walk me through some of your finer moments tonight?
Well, first of all, I love this track, but I am super nervous all the time because of what happened there in, what happened to me and a bunch of the other guys on the first lap. And it's like, a couple guys wrecking in front of me. I was 1 second behind them. There was nothing I could do. I tried to squirt through there, and I caught Mike coming off the rail, and I had to tow. And I was really upset. I thought that was going to be it for the race. But again, I love the track. So I'm like, okay, tow, repair the car. I'll see what I can salvage. And then shocked that I, finished where I finished, actually. Just blew me away.
No, I mean, you definitely deserved it. We were watching lap times, and you were just blowing a lot of people out of the water in your class with your lap times, and it was clearly very good for you. Tell me about a couple of things that you did to prepare for this race. I know you just said that you loved this track a lot. I loved it too, but it's just a very tough track to get a hang of. What did you do to really get this down?
Well, we have practice on Sunday night, and I came out. Not everybody does, but I came out and did practice. And again, any time that this track comes up, I run a lot of series in the public lobbies. But anytime I see this track coming up, even if I'm not running that car combination, it might be, Global Mazda, right? And if it's at the Nords, I may jump in and run that one. Or if it's GT4 or whatever it is, I just love running this track. So.
Yeah, and clearly whatever you did paid off tonight with a P3. So big congrats to you. Is there anyone out there that you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, actually, Mike Neekum. So he 3D printed me a brake mod for my Thrustmaster TLCM pedals, and he is on D-Nut Stuff at Etsy. But yeah, he sent me the brake mod kit. I made a video about it, put it up on the Simpit channel, and it's just really changed my braking. So shout out to him. He's in this league. Yeah.
Everyone go check that out right now, and you two will be running really quick laps at the Nordschleife. So, Dave, congrats to you for P3, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, guys. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
That was Dave Blair there, third place in class, finished 12th on track overall. So, it appears that is going to wrap it up for the interviews. Brennan, give me your thoughts.
Well, like I said right at the end of the race, I love this track so much, but it's really relieving to be able to breathe again. It's that was a very tough race for all of the drivers, and especially the ones who wrecked out early. That must have been tough to see all people driving by the pit lane every lap. Arrow and Radish Savage obviously stole the show. Strategy and everything. So much to talk about with them, and it's just I'm just happy to be happy to be a part of this one tonight, and I hope to be back sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really can't say much more than that about it. The racing, to be honest, I thought was not going to be that great, and let me tell you what, I got proved wrong. Massive crash in the first lap that caused quite a bit of chaos, and some of those guys actually came through that with some pretty good points. So pretty awesome to see how well those guys did. And of course, Eero Nam and Zoran Radosavage, huge shout out to you guys as well for putting on a hell of a show for a whole hour. It's just impressive to me to watch those guys every time they go around the track. But also want to give a shout out to Bruno Carneiro Driver Coaching and the Simpit, the 2 league sponsors for American Muscle Series. And speaking of American Muscle Series, Randall, I want to thank you so much, man, for bringing us on and giving us a chance and allowing us to cover these awesome races. And also a huge shout out to all the guys in the chat, been talking to me the whole time. Man, get this out there. We want to see more people following slow motion broadcasting, but we also want to see, what we really want to see is more people interested in the leagues that we have here on slow motion broadcasting. We have one more race this week in slow motion broadcasting, known as the Spec 5 World Tour. And I think Brennan may know just a little bit about that one. That one's going to go down Thursday night. So mark your calendars. If you guys have nothing to do, head over to the Slow Motion Broadcasting YouTube. Hop in there, give that thing a waiting, and just be ready for it on Thursday. But other than that, if Brennan, unless you have anything else to say.
Well, I'll be sticking by my, obviously I'm driving on Thursday, but for April 5th at Watkins Glen for this series, I'll be sticking by my TV set, and I will be tuning into that one if it's anything like what we had tonight.
Absolutely. So with that being said, my name is Adam Thompson. I was joined by Brennan Horan. This was Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of American Muscle Series Season 2, Race 10 at the Nürburgring. I hope you all guys have a great Tuesday night, and we'll talk to you all next week.